Communication students, this is Dr. Perks. This tutorial is going to be about citing sources properly, and I'm going to go over just 4 main sources or types of sources, and that is books, journal articles, citing a chapter in an edited book, and looking at online sources. So one of the main things to do first when you're figuring out how to craft your references page, and this will not look at in-text citations, we're looking at the references page for this video. You need to find a credible resource that tells you how to cite. So 10 years ago, the norm was to require students to buy a handbook to show them how to cite, but there are so many excellent online resources that you can go to a reputable source and still be covered in terms of knowing what to do to cite. So one that I recommend students go to is Purdue OWL, and you'll see it here. OWL stands for the Online Writing Lab, and this one is updated when a new style guide comes out, which happens periodically. And you can see here that I've already clicked on the APA Formatting and Style Guide because that's what we're using for our class. So let's go to that. Just wanted to show you how to get there. And what you'll see on the left side here is the different types of references and some basic rules, how to note the authors, and all of the things that you need are on this left side. What we're going to do first is tackle journal articles. And just to be clear what a journal article is, our academic organizations partner with publishers such as Sage, Taylor and Francis, John Wiley and Sons is another one. And those publishers put out multiple journals. And within each journal volume and issue, you will see several different articles. So that's a lot of terminology to keep track of. The articles are the individual pieces that you'll be reading and citing. And they are usually, I would say, from 15 to 25 pages. So if you've got a journal article that you found through a database and you want to cite it, you're going to go to the reference list, articles in periodicals. And other periodicals include newspapers and magazines. So if you have one of those to cite, you can also look here. So as we look down, you'll see author, comma, a period, space, a period. And some students have told me that it wasn't clear to them what that stood for. So it's always author last name, comma, first initial period, and then if they have a middle initial period. And you will list as many authors as they have by author last name. And you'll use this ampersand that you can see here that I'm circling before the last one. You'll have the year of publication, period. And note that the title of the article is not in any kind of special format. It's not italicized, it's not in quotations, and only the first word is going to be capitalized. You've got another period. You will capitalize the title of the periodical, and in this case, the title of the periodical is going to refer to the journal. Okay, so don't cite the database or the International Communication Association that sponsors the journal or the publisher. It's the title of the journal. And you'll see down here, here's one example, Journal of Comparative and Physiological Psychology. Sometimes the journal title will say Journal of, right? So that's a good clue to you, but sometimes they won't, so just be ready for that. Okay, so going up here again, you've got the volume number in which the article appears, and that's italicized. And if you have an issue number that's not italicized, that goes in the brackets, comma, the pages of the article. Okay, so the full span of pages. It's a somewhat new thing that we have the Digital Object Identifier, the DOI, in APA, and I'll show you what that looks like. As we're going through, this might be making sense, I hope it is, but I want to show you some of the trickiness of finding all of that information for your article. So I've pulled up some tabs to kind of guide you through this. I went to the Communication and Mass Media Complete Database through the Libraries page. I'm looking for a specific article called Psychological Escapism, one that I've read before. And once I click on the article for Full Text Finder, this is what comes up. And I just want to show you that it does not have the information I need to cite the article. It doesn't have everything. Clearly down here we have the authors. That's usually the easiest to find, and that's not highlighting for some reason. There it is. And then up above we have the title of the article. But you'll usually see up top, up here, or at the bottom in small print on the first page, what journal is this in? Right? And it'll usually give you the volume and the inclusive pages, but we don't have that here. So it says copyright 2001, so we know when it was published. That's helpful. We need that. But International Communication Association is the one that sponsors the journal. They are not the one that, they are not the journal title. So you actually don't need to know about ICA. What you do need to know, and you can go back to your results list from the database search, is, this article is from the Journal of Communication, right? So now we have our journal title. We know the volume and the issue, which is also what we need. And it starts on page 100 and it goes for 21 pages. So we can see that our inclusive pages are 100 to 121. And you can actually look in the physical article for that too. So clearly it starts at 100. And if we want to go all the way down to the bottom and make sure that that's correct, scroll past, and that's our last page. Oh, it's actually, yeah, that makes sense. Pages 100 to 120. So once we take all that information, I'm going to show you how the citation looks now. So again, we've got our author last name, comma, first initial, and then this is our ampersand. Second author's name, first initial, our year. We have the title of the article. In italics, we have Journal of Communication, comma, italicized volume, parentheses for the issue, comma, 100 to 120. And this is our digital object identifier. And I actually had to search to find that because it didn't come up in my, going back again to the results list, it didn't come up from the databases. So what I had to do is I had to just do a Google search of the article, and it takes me to the Wiley Online Library, or one of the possible results from my search. And this is actually a picture of what this full journal volume looks like, this issue. And so for my DOI, I can see, this is my article, Psychological Escapism, and here's the DOI. So I can cut and paste that into my references page and just change the font so it matches up and it looks neat. All right, so that is for journal articles. I'm going to show you next the books. And as we go through this one, we'll click on reference list books and we'll cover a regular old book and also citing a chapter in an edited book. I tend to think that citing books is the easiest one. There's a lot more information you need for journals, for journal articles. So for here, hopefully you've got the author thing down, author last name, yada yada, initials, year of publication, the title of work, right? And remember, only the first word is capitalized, and if you've got a colon, the word after that will be capitalized. And that's in italics. The location. So you want to do a city, comma, the state, or if it's DC, that abbreviation there, colon, publication. This can be a little bit tricky. So if you've got the book in front of you, that's great. You can flip through and find all of this information. But I have another book, and let's say I looked at this book, Stress and Emotion. And I have the physical copy with me, but let's say you just returned it to the library and you forgot to get all of the citation material. I always go to Amazon if I'm kind of stuck here with missing information. So you can see on my first page, we've got the author and the title. The trickier piece is going to be your publisher. And you can sometimes search inside the book from Amazon, but you can also scroll down to product details. This will tell you the publisher here, Springer. and you've got the year of publication, so that's great. The one thing we're missing now is where is the Springer Publishing Company located, because you need that for the citation. So I just did a quick Google search for Springer, and then I did the Contact Us tab. I looked at that. And you can see that you mail inquiries to Springer Publishing in New York, New York. So some of this information, it takes a little bit of digging to find it, but you can certainly get there, especially if you have internet access. So here's what the citation looks like. Okay, so Lazarus, that's actually a slightly different year than I saw before, so we'll have to reconcile that. I might have been looking at a different edition. All right, we've got our title here. We've got our New York, New York, and Springer Publishing ending with a period. All right, the next one we're going to do, I'm actually going to jump down to this one, and this is Vorderer and Knobloch, and it's a chapter in an edited book. So let's go back to our Purdue OWL page. Kablank. So you're going to scroll down a little bit, and this tells you if it's an edited book, a translation, if it's not the first edition, how you put that in. And what we're specifically looking for next is the article or chapter in an edited book. So author, of course, year of publication, period. Next is the title of the chapter. And just like the journal article title, it's not going to be in parentheses. It's not going to be italicized. Just put it there with a period. And then this is the tricky piece next. So you have to say what book it's in, and you specifically write in, and you're going to reverse the order of the name. So whereas when you're citing the chapter author, you start with the author last name first. When you're citing the editors of the book, you actually do their initials first, okay? Then their last name, and then that ampersand, initials again. And then you'll do parentheses, capital EDS, that stands for editors. If you just have one editor, it'll be capital E, lowercase d, period. Close it off with the brackets, comma, title of the book in italics. And then you'll do parentheses with pages of the chapter, okay? Then again, like you do with the book, location, and publisher. When you scroll down and see their sample, you'll see a little bit more of the nuance to it. So they don't note above, but you need to denote the page numbers of the chapter with PP period and then inclusive page numbers. All right, so I'm going to go back to that sample that I had here and see if there's any other stuff to point out. Right, we've got our years, we've got the title of the chapter. These are our editors, Zillman and Vorderer. We've got our overall book title, the inclusive page numbers of the book chapter. And let me just go back because I'm not sure about this period right here. Let me check on that. Make sure we needed that. Yep, we do need that. Okay, just looked a little funny. All right, so there's a period after the page numbers, then you launch into your location and publisher. As I've said in class before, I don't have this memorized. Like I said, this period seemed a little off to me, so I just always double check. And that's the best way to go. Don't feel like you have to memorize this because that's not, what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to get you to follow the pattern here. All right, so we're going to go back to our last type of source, and that's going to be an online source. All right, so we're going to go back to reference list. We've covered books, we've covered articles and periodicals, and now we're going to electronic sources. And as I scroll down here, I just want to show you the wide variety of things that are available in terms of what you can cite. So we're going to scroll down, online periodicals with the DOIs. Already covered that. You could cite an abstract. I don't usually do this, but you can. Newspaper articles, this is really helpful if it's an online source. Ebooks, boom, that could be useful. Kindle books, sections of a web document, online book reviews, in case you ever need that one. A lot of students have used dissertations and theses from their research. In my previous semesters, I've seen this actually a lot. So just so you know, it's here. Online encyclopedias and dictionaries. I know you all can read, so I'll just scroll down. Okay, so non-periodical web document or report. We're going to use this as our basic kind of citation. So ideally, if you've got a decent online source, you want to look for that author. And then you want to look for date of publication. And this is different from the date of publication in the other ones we've looked at because the month and the day actually matters. So try to find that if possible. The title of the document, and then this is another difference. You want to do the retrieved from, and then you're going to plunk the URL in there. Okay, so let me show you the source that I used as my sample. Right, so this is one from a blog, and it says this is by Kathleen Smith, so we've got an author here. We have our article title up here, and of course we can cut and paste our URL right up here. One of the tricky pieces of this one is the date. Right, so I don't see it up top, but luckily when I scrolled down, I was able to find one. Right, so this is when it was last updated, and it's fine to use that as the publication date. Okay, in this particular example, the author or someone, the service that this is provided by, put in an APA reference, but it's not 100% accurate. Okay, so it doesn't, for example, here have the month and the day. So this can be a little bit tricky in terms of figuring out what kind of a source you have and how to put that information into your reference page. So that's why I've showed you the samples, and Purdue OWL shows you samples as well. So this is the one that I typed up. Okay. Hopefully this helps you all as you're figuring out how to cite sources. When in doubt, ask your professor or ask a reference librarian what kind of a source you have, or if you need help finding the information to cite, we're more than happy to help you. Happy citing, everyone.